live. It is Tuesday night, Squared Circle Digest. I am Sean Stanley, and he is the one, the only, Mr. AEW himself, Frankie Fresco. How you doing, sir?
What's going on, Sean? What's going on, chat? What's going on, Florida Panther fans? I'm repping it tonight. Tonight, hopefully, we could pull that win.
100%. I want to start the show because I don't think, I'm trying to remember now, we weren't on when the passing of the Iron Sheik, correct?
That is correct.
That happened after the show.
That happened the next
So,
day.
WWE Hall of Famer, Cheeky Baby, one of the best follows ever on Twitter. And sadly, he has passed away. So I want to send condolences out to him and his family. I'll never forget one of the first times I believe I saw WWE was when he beat Bob Backlund for the WWF title at the time when Arnold Skolin threw in the towel. And then that was the precursor that started Hulkamania, because then Hulk Hogan was the successor for Iron Sheik. And yes, Iron Sheik he was the heavyweight champion. He beat Bob Backlund. He was the WWF heavyweight champion. He's the one that passed the belt over to Hulk Hogan. A lot was said about that. If you've heard the stories, I don't know if you have or not. Vern Gagne was in charge of the AWA, was planning on having Hulk Hogan be like his big guy there. Vince McMahon, of course, stole him away. And of course, the story is that Vern Gagne said he would give the Iron Sheik, I believe it was $1 million to break Hulk Hogan's legs in the match and not lose the title to him. And everything else, of course, we know that did not happen. Hulk Hogan dropped the leg drop, and wrestling has been off ever since. And it's one of those things where if you look back to it, and he did not do that, and he did break Hulk Hogan's leg, where are we sitting at with wrestling today? But again, the Iron Sheik was one of a kind. And man, I like the stories. And when you hear like how much of a family man he is, you hear the stories, everything he did, the craziness he did, on Twitter and as a wrestler and everything else. And it's just, he's going to be missed, man. He's going to be missed. And you can't forget that he was, another Olympic wrestler, gold medalist for his country of Iran. He was legit shooter, and he could lock you up. And he will be missed. And Frankie, I don't know if you have anything to add on to the Iron Sheik. I don't know how much wrestling you watched up to that point, or how much of the Iron Sheik you actually got a chance to see.
Well, I did see a little bit of the Iron Sheik versus Hulk Hogan. And I do remember, I think they used to put the little promo on. They'll put like main event and big letters. So that was pretty cool back in the day. And I also remember the Iron Sheik because he had an amazing stash. That was one of his trademarks.
Yeah,
I
the
thought that
boots,
was
the shorts, pants, or whatever you want to call them.
yeah, and his main entrance and everything, his actual attire and everything was really really something really nice. My condolences to him and to all his family members and everybody, and to the wrestling community. That's a legend that unfortunately everybody is gonna miss.
And nobody forgets his Hall of Fame induction ceremony speech.
Yeah, man, and the crazy thing about this whole thing is that as time keeps coming up, more and more we're losing more and more of these guys. It's scary because so many legends. I mean, I know Jerry Lawler has been sick a couple of times. I believe JR was a little bit hurt. Was he's been suffering some stuff as well from time to time. So, and then you got wrestler like Ric Flair getting old, and you got some legends that are unfortunately,
Yeah.
might hopefully they don't leave too soon. But it's time is flying, man. We're getting much older, so it's
Yeah, the guys that we grew up on now are getting to their times, and then also they ran 900,000 miles an hour. It's a different era now, and all that. So, but again, condolences and my thoughts and prayers to the family of the Iron Sheik. And now the other one hit me a little bit harder this morning. Um, uh, there was when I started, he was a fan, and then he got trained actually at Body Slam University, which is now the CCW training facility, and that is Tony Garrido. He was known as the Pimp with the Limp, and he was born with cerebral palsy. He was at every wrestling show that I can remember, and he wanted to be a wrestler. He went and he got trained. He ended up becoming a manager. Never got a match, but he did become a manager. And then last night, I or this morning, I woke up and saw it surfacing on Facebook and around that he had passed away. So my condolences to him, his family, his friends, and just everybody that knew him. Because if you knew him, he put a smile on your face. And he was one of those guys that could just, he walked in the room and he owned the room, and he became the Pimp of the Limp because of, I believe it was a Halloween costume. And I believe it was one of the wrestling shows. They did a show during Halloween. He dressed up as a pimp, came in, and then that was him from then on. But my condolences out to his family, friends, and rest in peace, Pimp.
Same. Rest in peace, man.
All right, so this is the Squared Circle Digest. Tonight we got Nelio Costa going to join us. He is owner and executive producer for CCW. We're going to talk Kumite number 3 that's coming up this weekend in Pompano. A couple other things. Also talk a little about the school there. We're going to dive into a lot of WWE. Me and Frankie got to hammer out this whole Cody Rhodes, Dominic Mysterio thing. We've got belts coming from everywhere now. Not everybody's getting a belt, but everybody's getting a new belt. And then, of course, our weekly Bloodline update. That's courtesy of the WWE news. And then a lot of stuff is happening this week. AEW has got a lot going on. Tomorrow night, it's Dynamite. And then Saturday, it is the debut Collision. And they've got a stacked card this Wednesday. And then we'll see what happens on Saturday with AEW Collision the first time they go. And we'll dive into a lot of that going on. Nelio's going to join us at about 8:20. So we got about 13 minutes before he pops in. If he pops in earlier, then we'll go straight to him. We'll dive out of what we're talking about and we'll dive back in. So let's get it started real quick with the roll call of who we got in there. Now we got 2 at a time. EWD Jr., Bromar Smelly, Ops, what's up? Terry, Karen Joseph, official DJ Mimo, and everybody saying what's up. Of course, Karen Joseph says AEW has a plan because everybody knows Karen and Frankie are AEW through and through. And Karen said I was born in Pompano. Me and my family. Wow, yeah. Yeah, they run the facility down there. So without further ado, Cody Rhodes, Dominic Mysterio are going to go one-on-one at Money in the Bank. And it's playing out as both of us have kind of said, because I honestly, as I
both
said,
of us.
Yeah.
Both of us.
Yes,
okay.
Both of us.
Okay. If you say so, both of us. Okay. Continue.
No. Go ahead. You want
no.
No,
Continue. I want to hear your side of the
us.
story. Continue. I want to hear what you got to say about it.
You have him as WWE going to push him to the moon as this guy that's going to beat everybody. I say no, he doesn't have to beat everybody because he's getting the push already, which is what's happening. He's in the match with Cody now because of the crowd will not let him talk. He doesn't have to sit there and get win after win after win after win after win to get elevated. Hey, guys, wrestling is entertainment. This isn't a, look at that. You telling my you're showing my secrets to the trade there. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me clarify this, okay? Because it looks like every day we have this conversation about Dominic and what I want for him. What I said was Dominic can be a big heel in WWE. And I said that they need to build him up slowly. That way he could possibly, in the long run, become a top heel in WWE, to the point that he could even contend for the USA belt, the Intercontinental belt. I never went as far as to say the heavyweight belt. I never said that. Second of all, I said that this was going to take a while. It was going to take about, I would say, all the way up to like WrestleMania. So it wasn't something that was going to be like right off the back. Now, has WWE listened to me? Of course they have. Even though I am Mr. AEW, WWE understands me and realizes that WWE knows what they have in front of them, which is Rhea Ripley and Dominic. And if you remember a long time ago, I said it too, that they should be the top two in their group, become like the king and the queen. And it looks like they're pushing that narrative. Now, here's my concern. Here's my concern. Because I told you, if he wins, whether he wins fair or not, I don't care. He's getting his name out there because of how bad people hate him. My concern is, I think they're rushing it. So I think they're dropping the ball now. Because I said it had to be gradually for them to throw him against Cody Rhodes right away. What is this? This is
Do you understand though what you can't sit there? The crowd reaction is going to tell you. They don't give a damn about wins and losses, bro.
no, and
Crowd
we
reaction for Dominic tells me right now he is one of the top heels. They were cheering Rhea Ripley. They were like, "Mommy, mommy, you deserve it. You deserve it." Da da da. He started coming to the ring. What happened?
they booed
In
him.
the turn of a thing, they booed him out of the building. He is already one of their top heels. WWE sees that, and that is why they're putting him with Cody right now, because Cody can't get beat by anybody, and they can run this for a little bit with all the weaseling and everything else. Because I guarantee you know what's probably going to happen at Money in the Bank?
What?
I would not be surprised if somehow Dominic Mysterio gets a fluke win over Cody.
You know what's funny is that I at the Money in the Bank, I was gonna say that I want Dominic Mysterio to win. I don't want Cody to win. And remember, I'm telling you that I think they're rushing it. I think that will correct the rush that they're doing, because yes, you're right. He's a
There's no
weasel.
rushing though, because you don't. It's organic, and that's what me. I always talk about the emotionally invested in the product. You can't get more emotionally invested than what they are right now in Dominic Mysterio. When you watch that and watch just the raw emotion that's coming from that's why he's getting put into some of these positions. Now, is he ready ring wise? Look, Cody can probably get in there and wrestle around with brooms. So, again, not saying that Dominic is terrible, but sometimes when you get into these pay-per-view matches, you might have to elevate. And then also, Tua Time said something smart here, and Daniel Barry Sports, what's up? That, Brock might show up, lay out Cody, easy win for Dominic. That's another way, a way to go about it. So, it's going to
And,
be.
and I think Cody losing to Dominic won't hurt him if something like that was to
No,
happen.
because ultimately, again, that's what I say. This is one thing where they can keep weaseling it around to where Dominic, that's why I think what might happen at Money in the Bank, Rhea does something, he rolls Cody up somehow, gets a pin. Then they might run it back at the next one, and then Brock shows up. Now Dominic's beat him twice, but never really beat him, but gets 2 wins on him. And then Cody, because again, it's one of those things where it is, they're going to build this Cody thing, to the tilt, and probably rightfully so.
See,
If there's somebody that can do it, it's him. I get a little bit upset where he's getting laid out every week, but if they do it this way, to where he's getting cheated and everything else, then you can do it. I don't want to see him get hit with 67 chairs, 62 steps, and then Brock Lesnar F5s him 3 times through a table. I don't want to see that every month. But if you're cheating him, I can get more behind that rather than him just getting laid out every month.
okay, so when it comes to Dominic, I agree with you that he is one of the top heels right now in WWE. But for me, is you can't be a top heel without having some type of recognition at the end for all that hard work you did as being the top heel. And
What?
the only way he's eventually gonna be recognized and
You
even hated even more would be to give him a belt. Now, again, I know you don't agree with me when it comes to this belt situation, but I'm telling you, if he's worked his ass off to try to make it all the way to the top and try to be hated by everybody as much as he is, can you imagine? And we spoke about this last week, MJF type of heel. I'm not saying he's at the same level as MJF, but look how they hate MJF and look how MJF is able to hold on to a belt. I don't see why Dominic would not be able to do the same. Is he still green? Yes, he's still very, very green. He needs a lot to work. And I think this is going to be a great test for Dominic because he's going to be able to show if he could actually hang with Cody Rhodes. This kind of reminds me a little bit of Bianca Belair when she fought against Io Sky, and everybody was testing Io Sky, and everybody was saying, "Hey, Io Sky, can she hang with the big dogs?" And I think that's exactly what they want to see. They want to see if Dominic Mysterio can actually hang with one of the big dogs. That doesn't mean they're going to push him right away. I hope not, but I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're testing him out just to see how good he could be.
All right, we're going to put this on hold for one moment, okay? We're going to put this on hold. We got somebody standing by that's more important than Dominic Mysterio, more important than Cody Rhodes, more important than anything else. He is the executive producer and the owner of Coastal Championship Wrestling, Nelio Cuomo Costa. How you doing, sir?
What's up, gentlemen? I was enjoying that, though. I mean, I think Dominic deserves a little push. There's ways that you can book Dominic against Cody Rhodes and against other talents that will be, logical. It's all really the stroke of the pen, right?
It is. It is all about the stroke of the pen. This guy wants to give him the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title.
Give them both.
Send them
Let's clear
the Mexican heavyweight championship. Give
go.
them that too.
Let's make it clear. I did not talk to Nelio. This is all Nelio's opinion.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'll check the text when I see him on Saturday. And this Saturday it is, and I've been practicing this, Nelio. So hopefully I don't mess it up here. Kumate 3. Kumate 3. It is in Pompano Beach.
Yes.
Is tickets still available? That's pretty much.
Yes. No. So front row is completely sold out. We will be in standing room by Thursday. So if you buy your general now, you can have that taken care of. It will sell out by Friday. So, but I'm excited. I mean, it should sell out. It's 6. I shouldn't say how many, but it's all matches in a steel cage. I might add something. And it's, we do it a couple times a year. So it's the Kumite. It's awesome. You got to be checking it out.
And that is again, Pompano Beach this Saturday.
Pompano Beach at the CCW Arena. I'm here right now in the executive office of the CCW Arena. You can hear some you hear Gangrel teaching classes.
You got the training going on in there.
Yeah,
right?
You're going to hear some guys maybe yelling and screaming. I promise I'm not hurting or killing anybody here. They're all learning to be professional wrestlers. No one is here against their will. They've all signed waivers. So if you hear any screaming and whatnot, but yeah, we're really excited about it. This is our third Kumite, which is just a style we do monthly events. We call it Breakout here at the CCW Arena. They're really, really popular. But every once in a while, you want a little bit of the blood and guts. So this weekend, if you really want to see excellent hardcore wrestling, and it's crazy because you have a culmination of some awesome feuds going into this weekend as well. So it's gonna be awesome.
Apparently, somebody just did a good spot in there because everybody's cheering. So let's get
there.
Very rare. Tell us a little bit, Kumate, how'd that idea come to be? I mean, as far as
I was watching Bloodsport. Actually, I was in my shower and I was watching this YouTube video of this song from the 80s, like "There's No Easy Way Out." I was like, and then it reminded me of Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme, and that was about a guy named Frank Dukes who was in somewhere in Asia, Southeast Asia, and it was an illegal pit fighting tournament called the Kumite, based on a true story in which people would die, and it was like people were coming in betting and stuff like that. So I said, that's just its own type of vibe. I love cage fighting. I love combat sports. One of good friend of the company, a friend of myself, Mr. Dan Lambert, American Top Team. He's always around. So the idea was to create, a couple times a year, that vibe of that underground fight club. So that's what we've done successfully. Both Kumites sold out in its entirety. Doing an interview. Give me a minute. Sorry. Both Kumites sold out, so that was, so the third one's gonna sell out. It's really awesome.
All right, so Nelio, once again, thank you for being on the show. I became a CCW fan. One of my friends hit me up, and
I see the anniversary over your shoulder. I see the
yes.
Yes.
And I was interested. I mean, I got sold. The first fight I went to was the very first fight between Cha-Cha Charlie and Ariel Levy. Can you tell the fans that have never been to one of your shows, what do you guys do? What's so special about your show, and why should they attend? Because I got sold on that show.
So it's really simple. So, you go to an independent wrestling show, maybe they have 4 shows a year. Maybe they'll bring like a guy like you might have seen on AEW Dark, or maybe they'll bring in a big name talent just for that one time, and you'll come and you'll go and you'll watch a couple of matches, right? Well, we do things completely different. Like, we are a professional wrestling company. We have sometimes 2-3 shows in a weekend. We have every single weekend is a show. And what we've done is we've kind of created the ability of territory wrestling is, Vince McMahon Jr. took power from his father, bought up all of the territories in the United States. And territory wrestling was, something that was incredibly popular. Like, people don't realize, there were events with thousands of people every weekend in certain cities. Every Friday in the Miami Beach Convention Center, there was professional wrestling that was there, and the story would move from Friday to Friday. And so we've created that again throughout the state of Florida and Tennessee, and in that you'll be able to watch a contained story. If you come to Kumite, you're gonna have a blast. But if you come to Kumite and then you go to Port St. Lucie, and then you go to Deerfield on July 30th, Port St. Lucie on July 1st, and then if you're going to go to Bash of the Brew, which is in July, and then you'll have Conquer Kissimmee, which is the second Friday of July, you're going to see a contained story that you can watch across all platforms. So who Cha-Cha Charlie is, who his opponents are, who his opponents were, and you get to see that story unfold in front of you. And we just picked up like a really awesome group of loyal wrestling fans and non-wrestling fans, like, they just come out and watch us. And it's really, it's a tight, contained, a 2-hour show, 2-hour and 15-minute show. How I wanted to differentiate myself from an All Elite Wrestling and from some other, especially independent wrestling shows, was I thought of it like this: like if you're working in an office, right, and you love professional wrestling, and you meet a girl and she's cute or she's hot or whatever, and you want to take her out on a Friday night, I don't want you to be embarrassed to take her to CCW. Your intelligence won't be embarrassed. She will like the show. She will like what's going on. Like, you're not going to go in like, oh my God, like, she's not going to look at you and be like, oh my God, why did you take me to this like place? You're going to see like really a fun narrative, awesome story. The wrestlers look like wrestlers. It's something that I dreamed of like for years, and it's finally kind of coming through. So that's what differentiates CCW. You can come, you can have a good time, you can follow the story. You don't have to follow the story. There's something there. There's going to be something there that's going to spark the casual audience. And then, maniacs like us three, like, who wake up and we live wrestling and think about wrestling at 10 a.m. in the morning, we're still going to be rewarded because a storyline is going to pay off in 8 months. Venetius and Ariel Levy was a year of storyline that culminated in a match. And it was our biggest Bash of the Brew crowd. And it wasn't because Brian Cage was there. It wasn't because there was a big star there. It was because the people wanted to see the culmination of this story. So professional wrestling at its best is just an amazing, storytelling experience. But at the flip side, wrestling can't just be for the maniacs like us, which sometimes AEW falls into, and Ring of Honor. Like, they cater to guys who just wake up thinking about wrestling, like, whatever. So, you can also bring casual people and kids and other people who are going to come in and see the show and really enjoy it as well. So that's what differentiates myself. That was the shortest way I could explain it.
Oh, that was very short. The one thing I heard was that you wake up at 10 a.m.?
No. I start thinking about wrestling at 10 a.m.
Okay. All right.
Unfortunately, I'm up much. I have a 3-year-old daughter who wakes me up.
Oh, never mind then.
45, and then I try to get her, I never get her ready for school, I'll be honest with that. I just watch my wife get her ready for school.
Now, one of the things that I wasn't able to make it because I was laid up, but Championship Wrestling from Florida, you guys, kind of a project started. But I wanted to go into this because you talked about CCW. You guys, the last territory. If you go to Coastal Championship Wrestling FL.com, you can see it all right there. But the one thing I noticed is that, as you were saying that, is that you have kind of set it back up to the touring loop. You're going to the same shows on Monday. I get it.
Yeah.
It's not Saturday. It's every Saturday and this and that. But first Saturday is always at Bash at the Brew. It looks like your second Saturday is usually Kissimmee.
Second Friday is Kissimmee. The second
Friday
Saturday is Homestead. Then we come back, bring it back to Fort Lauderdale. Third Saturday. Fourth is kind of like a rover. Sometimes we'll have St. Lucie there. Sometimes we'll put something else there. I will be putting together a St. Lucie show, not at the Mid-Florida Event Center, on the off months coming in later in the year. But we're talking about Tampa, Lakeland, some other places where venues are contacting us. So the loop is actually going to be even bigger in that we're going to be in a situation where we're going to be running two crews almost every weekend, by the beginning of next year. So, being able to run a successful live event, a lot of the problems with independent wrestling is nobody makes any money. Everybody loses tons of money. So people are like, oh, I love this promoter because he's just spending his hard earned income and throwing it away for us fans to like critique and, hate on his show. But we've done something to make, luckily, like in Gangrel, David Heath has been a huge part of this. My business partner, Dan Ackerman, has been a huge part of this. There's a lot of people, but we've been an ability to sustain and grow. So, we can run more shows and, actually sustain and pay our bills and move forward. So we're growing in that sense. So that's something that, like, it's so important for wrestling. It's so important for the wrestler because, we run the CCW training facility. When I was training and I was wrestling, the territory times are completely done. So, you could wrestle once a month or once every 2 months. Now, my guys can wrestle 11 times, 9 times in a month, and the only way to get better is to do so. So I think you've seen that in that, like, a lot of our talents are getting to the next level, or not a lot, but a disproportionate amount of our talent are getting to the next level. And that's because they have the ability to work in front of real crowds. And we've had larger companies that have, we've spoken to, and that, I think you can see who they are, in an unofficial sense, that tell their talents to work on our shows because they want their talent to get more reps. So that's exactly what, that I envisioned, and hopefully hopefully you'll see more of that. Yes and no, because, when you bring in talents who work on television once a week and they come in and do, a loop, a 2-day loop or whatever, you do take, spots that they've earned, obviously, because they're, but you do take talent spots away from other guys who really bust their butts here, to grow on a grassroots level. So yeah, it's a loop. It's a huge loop. It's a territory. It's the last one too.
Yeah,
no one else.
100%. I agree with you 100%. Frank, you got a question, Frank? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you something. I am obviously Hispanic. I'm Colombian. So I know that some of your wrestlers, a lot of your wrestlers are actually from other countries. So I know like Ariel Levy, Alan Martinez, they're from Chile. There's also Chacha Charlie, who's from Dominican Republic, if I'm not mistaken. I wanted to ask you, besides the local wrestlers that come and get to your facility, how about the outside wrestlers? Any wrestlers that are from other countries, how do they hear from you? And how are you guys? Is that something that you're working on and trying to bring some wrestlers from outside the country to kind of grow CCW more than other indie shows that are out there?
That's a great question. So I'm Brazilian. So I have, I've known Ariel. Ariel grew up, I didn't grow up, but, he told me the best wrestler in Chile was a gentleman named Alan Martinez, and he's right. So that was that. And you have Roma. You have Christy Janes, who's a friend of mine for a long time, also Brazilian. You have obviously Cha-Cha Charlie, Dominican Republic. We're in Miami. Like we're in Pompano Beach right now, but yeah, South Florida is the gateway from South America, Puerto Rico, into the United States, into the continental United States, Latin America. We're the gateway of Latin America. So yes, absolutely. Me personally, like I I've wrestled in Panama, which is an amazing country, Colombia, other places in South America, Puerto Rico, and so you just meet people who, you make lifelong partnerships. So when the time is right to call them and say, hey, we want to have an international flair, an international flavor, not just because we're in South Florida, because every wrestling company should. I think when you watch a group of talent, like we could run a World Cup tomorrow of every different country, and it'd be awesome. We could run like an 8 one-night tournament. I think I just thought of something. We could run an 8-man one-night tournament with a different country. Yeah. Excuse me for a second. We could run one of those, and it would be simple because even there are guys there training right now who are originally from some different countries. But yeah, one of the other things has been how lucky I've personally been, or CCW has been. We recently we have a pending television project with a company in Los Angeles that we're still working with. So over WrestleMania weekend, we spent 4 days filming there. We've had reality show filming us, but not just that. Like we've had a lot of really cool things happen where our name is out there more. So you just have those people who want to come and train here, but also work those shows. And when you have those shows, when you have a 3-day show weekend, it's easier for a guy from Panama to show up and say, hey, I flew here myself and I want to get on 3 shows, as opposed to like I came here and I flew, to get on 1 show. It's very difficult. And then the fact that they know that if they come here for 3 weeks, they can work 5 times versus coming for 3 weeks, training for 2 weeks and working maybe 1 show in front of 12 people. They can work in front of, an aggregate of 2,000 people over 2 weeks, which is meaningful as a professional wrestler. Like you have to, you kind of balance being a wrestling company with also like working with independent contractors. Those guys need their social media views. Cha-Cha Charlie needs to sell Cha-Cha Charlie merch as well. I asked him to push the CCW shirts, but he's got to sell his Cha-Cha Charlie merch, and he's got to get those new eyeballs on him, and at the same time, these guys are trying to get signed. We're lucky to have a very, very direct and interesting pipeline into both the All Elite Wrestling and and WWE. And so when people come here, and Impact Wrestling, so if people come here, I know for a fact major people from AEW will see them, whether it's on a live wrestling or when you were actually there at the show. I know that if they come and they impress David Heath, Gangrel, or they impress us here, that there's a phone calls that can be made where they can get a WWE tryout. Like not as easy as it was a few years ago, obviously, because you have to be a D1 athlete and you have to be like whatever you have to be, but that's a possibility still. And then of course with Impact Wrestling, Scott D'Amore is a call away, a text message away. Does that happen a lot? Like you really have to come in and like blow everybody away for that to happen. But and with AEW Dark and Elevation basically going away, it's going to be a lot harder. But at the same time, it's still like you just need to be seen. If you can be seen on a live wrestling, if you can be seen at Bash at the Brew, for instance, like which has been just like people just watch that show. They come to that show. They see who's on that show. So you want to be seen so you can get to the next level. So there's all that there. So it's balancing that along with the company itself, making sure that the company itself is selling tickets and is making money so that we can continue to run shows and grow.
Nelly, I want to ask you, how important is and I appreciate your time. I know we've kept you longer than what I told you already. So
we're good. Just someone better be coming in to pay tuition. I'm just kidding.
How important for you? I mean, because like when I was coming up, it was Rusty Brooks. It was, a lot of veterans. And now you've got Gangrel. You've got Alex Chamberlain. I think who else was there that I saw?
Eddie Valentine is one of the assistant trainers. Eddie Valentine, who's been doing that
as well. How important is it to have the veterans there with these guys that are coming up? Because, I mean, the guys coming up that I saw at the show I went to was a little bit different than some of the guys I think that was coming up when I was kind of going out.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So it was awesome to see it, and it was just one of those things. And it was ERA was kind of young. Ricky Martinez was young at that time when I was ending my run. they'd been going for a while already at that point too.
Yeah, but still 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. 10 years ago.
They came in before they started shaving and everything else.
Right.
Guys there and everything else. But how important is it, do you see, for one, the veteran mentorship, and then two, the change that social media has had on independent wrestling and just in general, I guess. I mean, because compared to what it was, I mean, I get it. We had Facebook at the beginning of Facebook and some other things there, but nothing like what you.
No, we're on a whole nother level now.
Yeah.
Well, just today, a little bit of inside baseball, but guys fighting on social media and Dave Gangrel just had to tell them, like, you guys look like children, and so it's one of those things. Like, so there's two things. So the first question, to answer your first question, guys like Chamberlain and guys like Jackal Stevens, Eddie Valentine, all that type of leadership that are here with the training is everything. Like it reminds me of the guys who used to smack me around and beat me up a little bit. Not to say that happens anymore. It really doesn't.
Where'd you get trained at? No, I'm sorry.
Pablo Marquez. Here.
Okay. So you're part of when it was Body Slam?
Yeah.
And Body Slam at the time, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a long story, but yeah, but I attribute Pablo as my main trade. Dan Ackerman, Dan Evans too, as Body Slam University, all that is really the.
Does he let you call him Dapper Dan, or no? He doesn't.
No.
Dapper Dan anymore.
No. Rusty, he was Dapper Dan there, and what's funny was it was Pretty Boy David Heath.
Yes.
So it was like, I think Rusty just gave guys like, here, you look like this. You're Pretty Boy David Heath now. You're
What's
Dapper
funny is the guy I was trained by I was trained by Cliff Sheets, which was trained by Rusty.
Yes, absolutely.
And they did the same thing. I was from the military. I couldn't run that well, so they called me Tank.
That's hilarious. Exactly.
Running the ring. So that's that's how they gave the name. It's exactly, even the Market Crashers, which now Joey Machete and Sean and all that and everything. It was just it's hilarious looking back on it now, but then now looking at what the opportunities I think that are there, and kudos to a lot of people, because a lot of people are taking advantage of those, but there's definitely a bigger opportunity now, I think, as far as selling yourself. It's not hey, let me get that VHS tape so I can record it, get it onto a DVD.
So that leads exactly right into social media. So, a clip of you working a match against most likely a signed talent somewhere is readily available to be seen by thousands of people, or millions of people, really. You can get those, you can get that in the hands of QT Marshall or Sanjay or Jerry Lynn, whoever needs to see that pretty easily. So that's a whole different ballgame than putting together VHSs and packages and finding who is okay. It was I guess Finkel and I forget who it was for years, was just watching VHSs in an office of guys and throwing them all away. I'm sure they, what I mean? So, but the problem is you make it easier, also makes it more difficult, because, okay, let's say you have 4 VHSs or 12 VHSs to watch. Now you have 1,000 wrestlers, guys who stopped, their stuff is still out there, still sending booking requests and inquiries and all that type of stuff. So it is a whole different ballgame. But to go to like social media, I love the fact that wrestling is real. It's still real to me. It feels real. When I watch a match, the only thing that really does take it out is if guys don't want to beat the other person. There's a lot of things that I see in wrestling that's changed in a negative way. But the worst, I'm still, and I think this might just be just who I am and my age, but I still never understand that disconnect, and I've been guilty 1 or 2 times, and it's killed me, of being friendly, and I'm lucky in a different way, because I differentiate. A lot of people don't even know who my character is versus who I am, which is very lucky of me. There's me and there's who this person is, right? So that's a little bit different than most people, but when you're taking pictures and you're being friendly with the person that you're having a match or you're in a blood feud with, or it's very difficult, because you might love that person. You might be you might think that person is the best person in the world, but I still have that thing in my head where you want the fans to believe. And there are times we've gotten the fans to believe. There was a moment in not just the fans. There was a moment at Miami Brewing Company a couple months ago, and I was in the angle, and we did something, and the security jumps over the rails, and I thought that fans had jumped in the ring in Miami Brewing, so of course I tackle security, and then the other security sees me tackling security, and I'm being dragged to the back, and they're throwing fists, I'm throwing fists. It gets to a point where the managers, the owner wasn't there, Pete wasn't there. Otherwise, I'm sure Pete would never have let us back to Miami Brewing Company. But Pete, but the manager comes up to me and he was like, "What just happened?" I said, "Guys, like, we're running a wrestling show," but they just felt that what had happened, it was so out of the norm of regular, "I'm gonna fight you," or like snide remarks, and it didn't look scripted because that's what you like. That's what we're trying to do here.
Yep.
And to the point where the security believed that a fight just broke out during a professional wrestling show.
Blurring that line, man. It's blurring the line.
It was great. So that's what and of course, like, I went to the security guys and I said, "Hey, I'm sorry, but this is awesome. This has been great. Like, thank you. Like, the audience right now is confused as hell because you were letting them in here. You don't work for us, and you were fighting me." So like that type of stuff is like what I die for. So the social media has taken so much of that and completely thrown it in the absolute garbage, So that's kind of the negative part of social media. But we also, we wouldn't have the crowds that we have if they didn't see the clips on social media. Like the time where casual fans would just see a flyer for an independent show at a gas station and just show up is gone. I mean, we still flyer, we still put up posters, but that time, like, where you would see, "Oh, Scott Steiner's here," just randomly, and go to the show is not happening. You need to draw them. You need to draw them with an angle. You need to draw them with video. You need to get them with match cards, and you have to throw every bell and whistle at them. So it's good and bad. It's good and bad. And the internet. One last thing about this: the internet. Like as professional wrestling, we're not just competing with wrestling. We're competing with Netflix. We're competing with like naked women, easily accessible, with like no passwords involved. And when I was a kid, it was a lot more difficult to see a lot of like stuff on the internet, right? Yeah. Video games, amazing video games, VR technology. So all of a sudden, like people are like, "Oh, wrestling." No, not just wrestling, like everything,
No, one of the things I actually saw when you talk about social media, I actually saw a clip where I believe it was ERA. He was at a birthday party, I think, with his kid, and Johnny Nova goes in there and crashes the birthday party. You see, so those type of things, I honestly agree with you. I'm like, yo, these guys are actually, because you don't see that. You never would see that before, but social media brings now that type of viewership, and you're like, oh my God, let me go check them out.
It's the double edge, because at the same time you have that, you also get the ones where their kids are having a birthday party and they're sitting side by side, and you're like, "Oh, wait a minute."
It's killing each other. Exactly.
But like I was saying, that's what I think with social media is now, is like, because we did an angle where we jumped the guy at a gym when he was working out, and we jumped him and we beat him down, and apparently they only wised up 2 people because it turned into more than what it needed to be. Like you were talking about, Nelio, with the guards.
But it's good. It sold it, right?
Yeah, so we got it, but it wasn't like we could just sit there and go, "Okay, let's put it up on our let's throw it on YouTube, let's throw it on this and that." It was like, okay, it went to YouTube, and that's kind of where, like, hey, okay, now what do we do? At that point, it wasn't like Twitter was what it was now and everything else there. But man, Nelly, I want to thank you for your time. I know you're running some things there and everything else, but you got Kumite 3.
Yes.
This Saturday at Pompano. Make sure you go to Coastal Championship Wrestling FL.com. Check your tickets out for that. You got Bash at the Brew. There's a whole list of upcoming
shows. The list. You just and if you live in Nashville, if there are potentially some Los Angeles dates coming back to the table. I'm really focused on Florida. I'm focused on Championship Wrestling from Florida. Obviously the last territory CCW. But just be aware, like, be ready. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff. And go to the YouTube channel, Coastal Championship Wrestling, every Tuesday night, 7:00, a live wrestling. And it's a nice 22 minutes. I mean, it's with
a good tag team today.
Yeah, and it's a good tag team match today. But you'll see like a good edited down version of a lot of stuff that you're going to see. So you see that every week consistently for the last 142 weeks, I think, like 44 weeks. So what happens is you can just go see like a little bit of what we're about before you come, and but come, just come, bring the family, all that stuff.
And it is very family oriented. I can tell you right now, very family friendly. Me and Frankie. Frankie's been to a couple more of mine, but we drove up to Port St. Lucie and Devon. It was the anniversary show, and I mean everybody's there signing autographs. It's very open, very fan and family friendly,
and accessible. That was one of the things. Like you can go to WWE and you'll buy you want to buy like a VIP experience, and like maybe you'll see Liv Morgan and one of the guys from Imperium. This is where you could just go and you will have access to a Devon, to Gangrel, to awesome talents, a Cha-Cha Charlie, Ariel Levy, like you're saying, like, and you can kind of see them before they're on Ring of Honor maybe, or before they're on WWE, but also those guys that are there, and you don't have to wait in line. You don't have to pay $400. You can pay $25.
Yeah, and I noticed that in some of your shows, right before and after, you could actually go take photos with them, get their
100%.
merch. It's so awesome. I also want you to know that I'm a big referee Bruce fan, because Bruce has been.
Oh my goodness, Bruce Owens, the worst guy ever.
I love Bruce.
He cost me more belts than everybody.
I'll never forget when Cha-Cha was bleeding a lot that day, and they threw him a towel, and it was supposed to give it to Cha-Cha, and Bruce goes and he starts cleaning the ring. I'm like, yo,
no, that was on purpose. Red equals green. No, Bruce has been doing this a long time.
Oh my goodness.
He goes, the fuck you're wiping your fucking head. Red equals green, guys.
That is awesome, man. So come on, day 3 this Saturday. Make sure you check it out. Nelio, thank you for your time, my man.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Go Dominic Mysterio.
Yes, sir.
That is Nelio Costa, the owner, executive producer for Coastal Championship Wrestling. And again, Kamate. I practiced all freaking day, so I wouldn't mess that up.
You should have just told me. I would have said it. Kamate.
Kamate 3. Make sure you go to championshipwrestlingfl.com. They got tickets for that and a whole list of events that are coming up. So, man, and we're looking to do some good things with them going forward. All right, let's dive back in, Frankie. Dominic and Cody, where were we at? 100% cannot remember.
I mean, I think the only thing we got left on that is basically, we were talking about how, Dominic,
we're on the same plane for Dominic. We just have different ways of getting there, I think is why I said we both agree on it.
Yeah,
I think he's getting elevated. I don't think he needs to be elevated to a title and everything there, because I think he's there with the reaction that he has from the crowd. So I think we're talking the same thing, just different language.
I just think me and Nelio are on the same page when it comes to making him one of the high heels up there, and also at the same time give him a belt. So, when you got an actual executive director of a wrestling show agreeing with Frankie Fresco, I'm making sense here, bro. Give him a belt. Give him a couple of belts. Let's make it happen. Just take it slow. Just take it slow.
Give him a belt. It's a Calvin Klein. He can hold up his trousers.
You know what? I'll be happy if he beats Cody. I want him to beat Cody. I hope he beats
I think you almost do it that way. And I'm wondering now, though, because my thought was the program, runs for a while. Like this time, I think Rhea cost Cody the match. Then they run it back, and you can have Brock cost him the match. And then ultimately, I mean, you end up having Cody beat him, of course. But then now you've had 3 pay-per-views to where you haven't had him and Brock. You know what I'm saying? Like Brock touches him at the one pay-per-view, but it's not Brock versus Cody for those 3. So, and then while we were in the thing, I just want to say No Doubt jumped in. He said, dropping in, hit that like. Yes, please hit the like. Help us grow the show. Cat for Life joined in. Chad joined in. Silverado Man 61, acknowledge me. And so they jumped in, and you're acknowledged. And I don't know if I said Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. So
I will say this before we change a little bit and go a different topic.
Yeah.
I'm happy that they did this to Cody, that they kind of got him out of the Brock Lesnar type of thing. It gave us like a kind of like a little pause on it, because it was kind of it was kind of getting a little bit
It was
overboard, and
getting to
we
the
needed
point
it.
where, like, I can only feel so much empathy for a guy getting his ass kicked every week.
Yeah,
Now, if you start stealing wins from him, like, you know, Rhea holds his leg or whatever, you know, and things like that, I can get that. But I can't get where he's getting beat down, because then you start making the baby face look stupid. Like,
true,
how many times are you going to walk into the same trap?
true.
You
I
know what I'm
agree.
saying? So
That I
that's
agree.
my thought on there. We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. New belts for the women's champions, and then also next Friday, I believe it is, they're unifying the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships and the WWE Women's Championships. And I thought that was kind of odd
Why
until I
so?
heard Nick Khan's comments.
What was Nick Khan's
Nick
comments?
Khan's comments were, and hold on, let me find them right here. He said, initially, NXT was on WWE Network. And then when the pandemic hit, USA, NBC Universal needed content. We did not miss a week of production, so we went with Tuesday nights NXT on USA from 8 to 10 Eastern. NXT ratings are also trending up, so that is going in the right direction. We think NXT has the viability to be its own standalone brand instead of just being a developmental territory system, a third brand, if you will, where you can see crossover from our superstars on Raw and SmackDown to NXT while our young talent develops there. Once we get all of that situated, then we'll look at other nights of the week to develop new content as well. So ultimately, Triple H is finally going to get a wish that he started 3-4 years ago of NXT becoming the third brand, which would have been great when you had Adam Cole and Undisputed and all that there. But now it's making sense where you're throwing Baron Corbin down there. You've sent Dolph Ziggler down there. I wrote down some other names here. You've got Apollo Crews have been down there. Jinder Mahal. Mandy Rose went back down there. You know, so ultimately, yeah, it's a third brand, but it's going to be the third ranking brand as well. But now you're allowing talent that's not being seen on SmackDown and Raw to be seen there, at the same time helping develop the younger talent with guys and gals that have already been on TV, understand the WWE way, and now you're teaching it to some of the younger talent. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and it's kind of making sense to where they're kind of combining the women's title, because I think like the tag team titles, because they're going to keep the women's title on each brand, I'm sure. But the tag titles you can kind of bounce around because you can be on each brand that way. And same with the men's title. Sami Zayn and KO right now, they're going to be able to probably jump around, and we'll see what happens with that belt. I don't know. But if they go to 3 brands, I think that's what you're looking at.
I'm not liking it, man. I'm not liking it. And the reason I say this is because, number one, I don't think that they have the same talent as far as like viewership, like when the Undisputed Era was going on. During that
They
time
don't.
frame,
They run smaller areas. They run the smaller venues. They
no, no,
run
no.
the Watsco centers. They run the, you know,
I could see that.
NXTs,
I could
you
see that.
know.
But what I'm trying to say is I don't see it like to the extreme that they had. I mean, at what point in time NXT was going one on one with AEW, so they were having a big fan base. I don't see that right now. I mean, look, a couple weeks ago we were talking about their pay per view or their live event, and we were criticizing how their live event was the same as their regular Tuesday night show. So I get it. I understand where they're coming from. They want to kind of make it their own brand, make it a third brand. Maybe they want to spice it up a little bit. I just feel that the talent pool right now, they're gonna have to rely heavily on bringing some of the other people from the other, like what they did with Corbin and
But you have plenty of guys that you can bring, because there's a lot of guys not on TV right now. Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin. You know, I mean, you got guys and gals that you can bring there to give it a little bit of a rub at the beginning. And again, I don't think they're expecting it to give you Raw and SmackDown type numbers. They're probably going to do the smaller, you know, theaters, amphitheaters, things like that for that. So, you know, I can kind of, again, Triple H wanted to do this long ago.
he did, he did.
Vince McMahon gave him 3 months, and when that 3 months hit, cut it. And when he cut it, he killed it.
Why did he say cut it though? Why do you think he said cut it?
Because Vince doesn't. Again, when you looked at that when you looked at that talent roster, what on there said WWE? This is the one thing people never understand about Vince McMahon. If it's not Vince McMahon's idea, Vince McMahon will kill it.
Yeah, but NXT is still WWE. I just think
Yes,
Vince. I don't
but
think
Adam
Vince
Cole
McMahon.
wasn't.
True.
Kyle O'Reilly wasn't.
No, the wrestlers that were there were not. But
that's the problem. Vince
no,
has an issue with that.
but it's
Vince had the NWO come in so he could kill them one last time, so he could turn Hulk Hogan back into the guy that he created.
I think the reason besides that, I do agree to a certain extent that he does feel that way. I just feel maybe he also looked at it as it wasn't going to work out. And I think that's why he did that, why he nixed it and said, you know what, we're not going to continue with this.
But how was it not going to work out, though? You never gave it a chance. You
But
never toured them. You never did anything with them. You kept them as your third brand. And by the way, when you ran commercials, you said your developmental system on TV. It wasn't our third brand NXT. It was our developmental system NXT. I mean, if you shit on your own product, that's what happens.
I mean, I get it. I can't disagree with you. You're right. I do agree that they could have pushed it a little bit more, especially during that time frame when I felt NXT was a lot better. I'm not saying NXT is bad right now. They do have some interesting wrestlers right now that are actually catching my eye here and there. I just don't know, man. I don't know if it could hold up. I mean, there's no foul in trying, right? There's no harm in trying. So if they run it as a third show, they could try it. And if they see it doesn't work out, send it back.
You can make it regional. Just have it do North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and keep it here so it's not a lot of traveling. It's driving, from Orlando up a little bit and this and that.
No,
and you can try it from there.
And I think Triple H is kind of like thinking the long run, because if you saw on Monday night, he had Corbin, and then Carmelo was in there as well, and he was trying to.
And I almost forgot. And
he got into the fight with him. So,
yeah. And the other thing that I thought was interesting was tonight, if you watched it last week, Braun Breaker challenged
this guy
Seth Rollins to come and defend his title on NXT tonight. And I meant to put it back in, but I got into the interview with Nelio and I forgot to put my phone on to see if Seth Rollins actually showed up. So if anybody's in there right now, don't worry about spoilers. Don't tell me, just let me know. Did Seth Rollins actually show up to NXT?
If Seth shows up to NXT, wow, that would be impressive.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I think they're going to start doing to try to make this brand thing work.
Well, Charlotte Flair has been on NXT a couple times too, right?
Is that
Charlotte Flair was at NXT?
Yeah, she won the NXT title from Rhea that one time. She was the champion for a little while, and then wrote it off there. Let's see. So another talking point. We can all probably argue about this stuff for years. And then the weekly Bloodline update. I thought it was great on SmackDown. Jay, the interaction with Paul Heyman, the story where he's like, Jimmy got mad because he knew the truth of Nicholas just said KO was at NXT.
Wow.
I don't know what else happened there. But so, he's like, Jimmy got mad because he found out, Jay, you're being groomed as the next tribal chief. And then they're talking in the back, and Jay and Paul Heyman's like, Jay looked at Paul Heyman and said, I don't know what y'all happy about. If I'm back in the bloodline, you're out. And Heyman stood there for a minute.
You want to know something? I hope they go that angle. I hope they kick Paul Heyman out. And you want to know who I think Paul Heyman should go with? You're probably not gonna like it, but he mentioned it yesterday too, which is on Friday, Austin Theory. I think Paul Heyman and Austin Theory teamed them both up together, and then there you go where you push Austin Theory to the next level.
Yeah, but I think there's too much legs on this still right now to kick Paul Heyman out. Because to me, I think Paul Heyman's the cockroach. He's the last one there, hanging on to the tribal chief's leg as everything else is crumbling around. He's that cockroach that's still just there. That's Heyman. He's the Dominic Mysterio of the bloodline.
Oh, get out of here. That's if he's the Dominic Mysterio of the bloodline, then it makes sense for him to leave.
Nicholas was saying KO was in NXT before.
Oh, okay.
Not
Okay.
tonight.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay,
sorry. I don't
I
want
was,
everybody to jump over to NXT now and be like, "Where's KO?" in
I'm
case, but
I'm
yes,
telling you.
that was. I apologize. I misunderstood. He jumped in as I guess we were talking about the guys that had been
In NXT
at
before.
both. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
So no,
again, this thing has so much legs, and I don't think they've touched. They're kind of stringing along because then also Jey Uso gets the match with Austin Theory, and then everything happens at the end. Jimmy kicks Jay, trying to kick Solo, ends up kicking Jay. Austin Theory gets the 1-2-3. Now you still got Jay trying to figure out where he's going to go. So you still have that going on. And all this is happening, by the way. There's no Roman Reigns.
but you want to know something? There's so many different ways they could go with this story because Austin Theory, and I'm thinking outside the bloodline because if let's say for example Paul Heyman leaves and you put him with Austin Theory, Pretty Deadly is teamed up with Austin Theory, so you could put Pretty Deadly, Austin Theory, and they create their own faction up against the Bloodline and take a turn for that as well. And not now, but maybe later. It's just
there's enough of the bloodline left now.
no. Everybody stays the same in the Bloodline except Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman leaves. He's the only one that's not part of the Bloodline.
But you got Jimmy and Jay both.
They know
bloodline or not bloodline.
I would say they're part of it. Like they make up and they're all together again as a family, and then you have that faction against the new Paul Heyman faction, which would be Pretty Deadly. And I mean, and then I'm just saying,
yeah. I don't know that they want to extend it that much longer because honestly, man, I think that 6-7 months that Sammy extended it was longer than what they thought. I think they thought it would go. I think they thought, okay, 3-4 months, maybe if we can run this right. And then Sammy just goes away. And then Sammy ended up being over there. And then, and now it is what it is now. I mean, they are building stars off of this angle.
Yeah.
I mean, Sammy's been elevated into, the top of the roster.
Yep.
KO was there already, but he's got elevated a little bit more now because with Sammy. Jay's going to probably get elevated. Jimmy looks like he's probably maybe Money in the Bank. He might be the opponent for Roman Reigns. Is Roman Reigns going to fight? Is there going to be a title match? We don't know, but the match would be Jimmy, which means that elevates Jimmy a little bit more now.
Well, you could even put Jimmy versus Solo in Money in the Bank. Since they've been,
you know what? That might be actually probably better in line. I'm just trying to figure out. So no Roman, I guess. But you have Seth against Finn, so you got a title being defended, I guess. But it's just odd, man. It's odd there and everything else. But again, when you look at it as a business standpoint and you're trying to protect your big money maker right now, then you got to do what you got to do. Yep. So that right there, ladies and gentlemen, again, we had Nelio, executive producer and owner of CCW, Coastal Championship Wrestling here in South Florida, and they travel all over Florida. He joined us for about 30 minutes. We'll get that interview out as well.
Yep.
And then we talk WWE. Now, and by the way, I forgot to even mention, though, kudos to the way they are translating Alpha Academy. I thought it was a great job. They had Maxine actually do an arm drag on Valhalla. And then, drawing a blank. Chad Gable. Chad Gable gets the sunset flip for the victory, and they win. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, because he's got an action figure.
Hold on, gentlemen. Hold on. I'm gonna put this one here
for Mr. A.E.W.
Yes.
Oh, we don't have a lot of hits. We practiced that for 4 hours before the show. Thank
you. So it's that time, ladies and gentlemen, when we get into the real wrestling here. AEW, we finally have another big announcement that happened this past Wednesday. Collision main event Saturday. Yes, finally, Now they threw a curveball because we were all thinking it was going to be Samoa versus CM Punk, but they also included Jay White and Juice Robinson, and Samoa Joe versus CM Punk and FTR. Obviously, FTR, CM Punk, they're all buddies, they're all great. What you think about that main event? I think it's not a bad main event at
I
all.
think it was good because that's kind of what we discussed when we were talking about it. We kind of both said, do they do one-on-one right away with CM Punk, or do they build it up? And we both thought they'll do some, but I mean, to announce it that far, I mean,
what are you talking about? It's on Saturday. It's this Saturday.
Yeah, but I would have been better off saying a tag team match, FTR against Juice Robinson, and then have them come out at the beginning, and then have Samoa Joe come out, and then add CM Punk to it. I don't know that I would have announced. Everybody knows CM Punk's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you need to throw him automatically into the main event? As far as he's going to be in the main event. It's his show. You've already figured all that out. I guess. I felt like it was it's almost like anticlimactic now.
I think they did it because they needed to sell tickets, and they're in
Chicago.
Chicago.
It didn't work.
What are you talking about? They're doing great in sales when it comes to over there in Chicago. We're doing great. We're doing amazing. 8:00 this Saturday, guys. Tune in. Collision. Finally, we get to see the return of CM Punk. As a matter of fact, I will throw a nugget here. On last Friday, I was DJing at a club/bar, you could say. And you know what I played? My brother wasn't there. I didn't tell him. But I played the CM Punk song, and the crowd went off. Like it went really well, to the point that next time I go and DJ again at that place, I will be throwing in the CM Punk song from here on out. That's how it
In Living Color. You're playing the In Living Color.
It pops so well. Now, granted, I did play the Cody song as well, and I got a lot of people telling me, "Yo, change the song." So I mean, it is what it is. Next we have is Forbidden Door. We're a couple of weeks away from Forbidden Door, and we have some kind of like stuff stirring up.
No, I like that card. It's one of those things for us fans, the ones that wake up 10 o'clock thinking about wrestling. It's gonna be great for us.
Like Nelio, like us. But wait, again, CM Punk's name is coming back out again, and now CM Punk's name is being brought up to fight Kenta. Now, keep in mind, Kenta did go on social media, and he said that he is all for it. He wants to.
Hold on, real quick. I'm sorry. Who's no doubt yelling at us? Get the mic centered. Is that me? Is that what you're referring to me?
Wait, is somebody
I think
saying,
your mic is centered, right? Mine's off the center, but
get the mic centered. Centered where? You want me to center?
I don't know who he's yelling at. He's yelling at one of us. I don't know who though.
No doubt. I don't know. Maybe he's if he's yelling at me, it's because he's probably a WWE fan.
Oh, I think he's a Noel fan.
Oh my! No wonder why. And you know what's the worst thing about it is that you're a Kane and I'm a Gator, so it's like completely. All three of us are.
So he's yelling at all of us now. So he's like, "Get that mic centered." All right, go ahead. Finish up your stuff.
So Kenta, he's right now the New Japan Wrestling Strong Open Weight Champion.
He's saying center it so you can see the AEW sign. They can't see the AEW sign.
Oh, they can't see the AEW sign? This one?
Wait, there we go.
Yo, see? Look at that's what I love about the chat. Like the chat knows AEW time. They know it. Yes, you guys know it. It's only the guys. Why is it that I see more and more comments on the chat when we talk about the AEW segment? It's because we love AEW and we know how strong and powerful AEW is little by little growing. I mean, we have a show now on Saturdays. Look at that. We got a show on Saturday. We got a show on Wednesday. We got a tape show on Fridays for Sean. All this stuff is, bro, we're blowing up here. We got the show in England. Woo! Over 60,000 tickets sold.
Hard times, baby. Hard times.
Look at that. Everything is working out. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on. Christian Cage.
There he is.
Cage, my action figure of Christian right there. We have so many things. My Adam Cole bobblehead / action figure, because it is an action figure in my opinion. It's bigger than an actual bobblehead. So, anyways, I kind of diverted. Anyway, so CM Punk, he went ahead and he um possibility to go ahead and fight Kenta. Now, Kenta, you guys don't know, a lot of people probably don't know who Kenta is. Like I said, besides him being a wrestler over there in New Japan, he is very big over there and he has never faced CM Punk. But what Kenta did go online and he did say, yo, I'm not going to wrestle in Forbidden Door for free. You're going to have to pay me the money in order for me to be able to show up and do Kenta versus CM Punk.
And also, CM Punk stole his finishing move.
Exactly. So that's the biggest beef between the both of them is that wait, hold on a second. CM Punk did not steal his move. He stole CM Punk's move. You there right there. CM Punk did not steal his move. He stole CM Punk's move, sir. Because who's the best in the world? CM Punk, not that guy. Anyways, so what do you think? Do you think it's gonna happen? Do you think TK is gonna go ahead and pay? Are they gonna pay this guy to come wrestle CM Punk, or is TK gonna act like a cheapo and just go ahead and say, screw it, we're just gonna go with somebody else? What do you think? Are you looking it up? Don't look it up. He stole CM Punk's move. Call it out. It is. It's right there, sir. It's right there. Also, in addition to that question, I do want to throw it out. I know I didn't. We had not spoken about it. My boy Ryback, he's doing his best to join AEW.
Yeah, Ryback, feed me more.
He actually went on social media and he's actually promoting that he fights against Goldberg. And remember, Tony Khan was having conversations with Goldberg about possibly bringing him on board. So can you imagine? Tell me, guys, you guys would not watch that Ryback versus Goldberg?
So here's what Bobby Fish said about it. Okay,
what did Bobby Fish say?
Bobby Fish said
he's a hater. Remember,
with NBC Sports Boston, the 10 count, because he talked about Punk's AEW tenure with Bobby Fish previously in a match against Punk, and revealed that Punk's attitude rubbed him the wrong way after their match. In a recent interview, he also brought up Punk's finisher. Fish brought up the fact that Punk is using the GTS as his finisher, which is Kenta's finisher, and now Kenta has weighed in. In his interview, Fish said, not to mention the move he finished me with, it's not his, it's Kenta's. Phil, you took a man's finishing move. Anyone who knows pro wrestling know that's effed up. We weren't even decent enough to change the name.
When did he say that?
Quote tweets it. Kenta quote tweets it. Hey, Bobby, you are 100% right.
Get out of here. First and foremost, Bobby's a hater. He's upset because we kicked him out because he couldn't cut it in AEW. And we wanted to there goes his chances to come back to AEW for the Undisputed Era. Because we were thinking about it. Me and TK were having a conversation. We were like, yo, we could bring the Undisputed Era to AEW, but see you later, Bobby. You're not going to get any shot now.
I mean, in a way, though, I don't know that you want to spend the money because I don't think that either one are going to agree to take the finish. I mean, what's going to be the finish? A roll up?
But isn't like Jake Cargill and Taya Valkyrie the same? They have the same finisher. It was a good fight. So they both are like, who does it better?
Taya Valkyrie is what in AEW?
One of the best one of the most up and coming best wrestlers, women wrestlers in AEW.
Jake Cargill is what in AEW?
The TBS X champion.
Yeah. So at the time,
60-0.
At the time, it doesn't matter. Now you're talking about Forbidden Door, AEW versus New Japan. Now you're getting New Japan in, one of their top guys who's finished the other guy's top guy stole, and he's going to get beat by it?
You know what I would do? Oh, my God. I got an idea. Tony Khan, listen to me. I got an idea.
Goldberg or Ryback?
No, you can't use Goldberg or Ryback for Forbidden Door. You got to bring them for the England show. But for that Forbidden Door, you got CM Punk versus Kenta. They both do the finishing move. There's the bell rings, like it starts into a brawl, and you have the New Japan roster, at least 10 or 15 of them run into the ring and like start whooping the crap out of CM Punk. And then you have AEW roster, 15 or 20 of them come in, and then you have a huge brawl in the middle of the ring between New Japan Wrestling and AEW. Wow, what a way to finish the show. You don't know what to expect. You don't know if Forbidden Door what to expect next year in Forbidden Door. It's just amazing. And I know AEW roster does not like CM Punk, but still they still want to. I mean, they still got to represent AEW, so they will go out there and just duke it out with New Japan Wrestling. And look at that, man! It would be an amazing like splash type of ending for Forbidden Door. What you think? What you think about that? I know you like it because of your face. Yes.
I just don't know if there's 20 people that CM Punk can trust. When you said 15 to 20, I'm like, maybe 2 or 3. I mean,
everybody from Collision.
FTR might be able to trick somebody to go down and be like, hey, free hot dogs ringside. Let's go. Okay. Oh, what? No, but I mean, look, again, if you do that match, maybe that's how you have to end it. Some type of thing to build it back up. I just don't know. But again, maybe that's why he's like, hey, I want a big bank. Give me a big bank. I'll take the finish. Because he probably ultimately knows CM Punk's just coming back. CM Punk's not getting beat. Pin me. Pay me.
Or you know what? Don't like DQ it. Like make it seem like it wasn't a fair victory. That way it doesn't hurt.
I think at these matches, man, if you're doing these type of dream matches, you can't do a DQ. I mean, that's like
unless you bring the whole roster coming in and protecting him, and then the AEW coming protecting CM Punk.
But then you have to run it back like the next week. There's got to be a payoff somewhere quick.
That's the only thing I was thinking about.
Forbidden Door, the finish.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, damn, I wish they would have. Unless, wait, but hold on, they still got the UK show. So they could possibly do something different for that.
But see, I think the UK show is going to be Samoa Joe against CM Punk and FTR versus Juice and Jay. I think that's what this 6-man tag is setting up for that.
And you want to know something? I think Tony Khan is listening to you as well, because remember, you were one that was criticizing, saying, hey, why is Jay White not being pushed? And now look, Jay White is being pushed. And he was in the main event with Ricky Stark the other day.
A lot of guys on the sideline that just don't make sense, man. And I get it. You only have so much TV time and you got to figure out. But that's one guy to me. You signed him and you brought him in, and like, you can't just like, hey, go to the sideline now. No, man. You brought him in.
Well, let's go and speak a little bit about what's going on with Collision, because I know we spoke about the fight, the main event fight, but there is some controversy with the show. It can't be AEW if there isn't any controversy. And one of the biggest controversies is, where in the world are they showing this show outside the United States? And obviously Canada numbers were hurting because they don't have anybody who's going to.
Well, they're doing TSN Plus now. But that's it's like a pay app. I think it's a pay app though.
Yes. So then what happened to everybody else? So news broke out that Fight TV will be the one that will be broadcasting Collision. So they kind of cater to the United Kingdom, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, a couple of those. But keep in mind, DAZN, how do you say that?
The Zone.
Sorry, the Zone. Oh my God, Jesus, terrible. All right, the Zone. So the Zone is they actually also have a contract with AEW where they actually show some of their wrestling shows on the Zone. And what happened is, because they have this contract now with Fight TV, the Zone is not going to show it. So what's going to happen? Like, how can you mess up this? How can you mess up your first show outside,
Because Fight TV is going to stream 2 Australia shows, and they're going to get money off of it.
But what about
Australia shows are streaming for $14.99 a piece, or both for $24.99.
There is a lot of AEW fans in Australia.
No, that's why they're streaming those shows, so you can watch back here in the States. Fight TV is going to stream them. So I believe that went into it a lot, because I guarantee it's not just going to be Australia shows anymore. It's going to be anytime they go international, they're probably going to stream and make money off of it. And that's a money maker. And it comes down to business.
What about the other countries, though? What about expanding and showing the rest of the world?
I think at this moment, look, people are watching in Australia. People are watching in UK. If they're hitting those markets, again, I said this about the other stuff. I feel like they've got to put blinders on and just focus right now and just nail the UK, nail Australia. Once you get those nailed, then okay, what's next? But nail those first. You've got them there. Nail them now.
I got you.
You've done great on your Wembley. You know, you rolled it out. You've got like 60,000 plus.
Makes sense.
Now that needs to be a kick ass. You need to perform. You need to hit a grand slam on that one, so that people don't feel, because those tickets were going for pretty penny too. By the way, it wasn't like, you know, these people are just getting, you know, they're not just handing these tickets out for free. They're paying some good money. You've got to nail this. You've got to hit a home run so that those 60,000 say, I'd go back to that every time.
Well, I had told Sean that I wanted to go to the Wembley, but Sean didn't want to go with me, and he didn't want to fly.
I don't travel that well, man. Ask O. I don't travel well.
Sean, we have to travel when we're talking about AEW. You know this.
I know.
If it's WWE, okay, we could skip those. Actually, we also have. Are we gonna go to that WWE show in the Watsco? Yeah,
I believe we are. Yes. Yeah.
All right, we gotta get tickets for that. I saw the tickets.
I'm sure they're gonna be there. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some.
It's a super show. It's fine. Well, there'll be plenty of tickets. There'll be plenty of tickets. It'll look like an AEW TV taping.
Wow. Wow.
The only thing I love about those is like I always put out the pictures and then I'm like, no idea when this was taken, because almost every time those pictures are taken, it looks like it's like either the very beginning or it's like the midnight when everybody's already left and they snap the pictures of the empty arenas. And I go back to when everybody hated WWE and Vince McMahon. Those were the pictures that were posted. It's those WWE has the same issues that AEW is having. You know what I'm saying? That's why every time I put out one of the pictures, I'm like, I don't know when it was taken, but here's the picture that was sent.
You know, no said I got burned for that one. Yeah, I did. I know, but you want to know something? You know what? Good or bad publicity? Hey, at least people are talking about it. You know, so people could see that some of the shows are not being filled up like they're supposed to. But hey, whatever.
It's not just. But the thing is though that AEW needs to learn, that WWE already has learned, is you sell certain areas first, and then you open up areas that aren't blocked off.
Correct. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the difference. AEW just kind of opens up maybe not anymore. But what they used to do is pretty much open up every viable area. And then as they sold or whatever, that's what you got. The problem comes is that the one thing too, in that WWE did a great job at for the longest time, the whole section where the hard camera was, nobody sat in that section for the longest time in WWE. Then what they did was they went up about 20 rows and then they started filling in behind that. But there used to be a time period where that whole area was, you knew when you went to it, that area was going to be blocked off.
Damn.
It's a way to set up for TV. You have to have the TV camera. You have to make sure nobody gets in the way of your cameras.
True that. It is what it is. But yeah, man, besides that, last thing we want to talk about, and I'm just looking at the scoreboard right now. The Panthers are down 2-0, so that kind of sucks.
No, 2-1 now.
Oh, they just scored?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Awesome. Sorry, I'm like pimped out with my Panther gear today.
No, 100%, man. I'm watching back and forth, buddy. Watching back and forth. Don't worry.
So, last thing we could talk about, or we should talk about, is AEW Dynamite tomorrow, man. What a stack card! Yes. I am so excited about.
Man, it's a pay-per-view style card, man.
You have MJF versus Adam Cole. I think what they should do with that fight is kind of not let any of them win, kind of like DQ it.
You have to remember, it is a whatever they call the WWE used to do this all the time too, and it used to piss me off. It's like a contenders match. If he wins, then he gets a shot at the title.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it there. It says eliminator
match. Yeah, that's what they call eliminator match.
Okay, so then pretty sure Adam Cole will probably win that. Yeah. And then eventually that wouldn't be the fight for Forbidden Door. I guess that would be one of the fights that they would put in for the England show, which would make sense.
It makes sense.
And then you have Tony Storm, Sky Blue. My brother's a big fan of Sky Blue.
Yeah, he's already got in there. Go Sky Blue.
Yeah, he's a big fan of Sky Blue. I mean, I like the fact that they're giving her an opportunity. I don't think she's going to win, but
I think this is the EO Sky moment for Sky Blue. This is her Io Sky against Bianca Belair. You talked about it earlier. I mean, look, man. My only problem with that whole thing is that Toni Storm sometimes, to me, a little clumsy in the ring.
That's why I
Little clumsy in the ring, so she makes the other people not look as great. She's a little bit. That's crazy, but I think this. I hopefully, again, Blue Sky does, like what WWE did with Io Sky, just so many chances at near fall, and then of course Toni Storm might hit her finish 1, 2, 3. Good showing for Sky Blue. Elevator. That is sometimes a problem I think that they had when Jade Cargill, and again, this wasn't the women's title, this is the TBS title, is that everybody was always getting squashed by her, and it never elevated anybody up to be a contender for a title. The closest thing to a contender, I guess, would have been Red Velvet at one point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I just hope they don't fall into that rut, because then you start hurting the division. And I think now the women's division kind of fell down, and now it's starting to come back up a little bit.
It is.
It's not zooming up. It's inching up, but it's getting better to me watching the women's division in AEW.
Especially with Willow winning the belt. It didn't have to be like that, but it did. She won the belt for Mercedes Moné, so that helped her a lot. A lot of people are not. What's funny about it is that now she can actually get elevated, because nobody thought about her as like, hey, a title contender. But now you could start like building her up, because people are tuning in. She got a pop when she fought a couple of weeks ago on Rampage. So
I think the problem is they haven't built the ladies up enough to where, other than Britt Baker, Hayter, Thunder Rosa, Sheeta, like, you have those as like, okay, when they go, they might win. Everybody else, it's like, okay, this they're gonna lose.
Yeah.
I haven't elevated anybody to where it could be like Sky Blue, the surprise.
Yeah.
That happened at Rampage. It's kind of like, oh, wait a minute now.
But
I feel like they could do more of those moments.
Hold on a second. How did you find out that Sky Blue had won? Were you watching the show?
No, I knew Thursday after they taped it Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. Okay, funny. Warlow versus I'm gonna change the topic because you got me there again. Warlow versus Jake Hager. You know what's the funny part about this is that every time we were having these conversations, you mentioned these guys that they could do more about it, like Nyla Rose, and then you saw Nyla Rose compete. Yeah. Warlow all of a sudden is fighting against Jake Hager, and we were like, yo, where's Jake Hager? And now look, Jake Hager is being pushed out there. And no, I do not feel that AEW puts you to sleep. B McD, I guess I don't know how do you say that. But
B McDonald, I'm hungry now.
B McDonald, it doesn't put you to sleep. I mean, it's when it's a good card like this, it doesn't. There's sometimes it's a little bit rough.
You can't fall asleep during AEW because everything's happening so quick.
That is true. And
like with Tony Khan, I think he's in the back just going.
Yeah, you can't. And that's true. If you fall asleep for like 2 seconds, you probably missed out on something important.
They don't give you a chance to fall asleep. There's shit going on during the commercials. There's more picture in picture. They are just. I mean, They just know there's no breaks for an AEW show.
No,
so it's almost exhausting sometimes.
And then you got the Blackpool Combat Club. They're fighting against Hangman Page and the Young Bucks. Wow, you're putting that on a Dynamite. That's how you know it's a really good.
I thought it was funny. They call him Hung Buck.
Why do they call him Hung Buck? Oh, because of the Yeah, I think the reason that they're doing this, man, is because they're stacking it up. Because number one, I will say this: number one, this is the first time there's not an NBA Finals game going on or a Stanley Cup Finals game, so they feel that they could gain a lot of the audience. And then number two, I think it's a way to lead up for Collision. I hope that they're throwing.
Think it's more to do with the Collision, I believe.
I no, and
Collision than the other one, because look, man, I mean, they didn't do terrible with the
Dynamite numbers.
The Dynamite, I mean, they didn't drop.
They were like a 900, right? They were like a 900.
They just stayed around they stayed between 825 and 925. Around that, that thing is where they were before the final started, during the playoffs, and everything else. I mean, so they haven't lost anything. So I think this is more the fact that I guarantee you every time they can, you're going to hear freaking Excalibur 997,000 times. Don't forget this Saturday on TNT AEW Collision, CM Punk and FTR, CMFTR take on. I think you're going to hear that more and more. The return of CM Punk to AEW. You're going to hear that so much on AEW Dynamite.
The last two things for tomorrow's show is going to be the Darby Allin, Sting, Orange Cassidy, and Keith Lee all teaming up. So you got Sting showing up on the show, wrestling.
Again, they went all out on this. They pulled out all your stops.
And then you got Swerve's group out there who's going to be contending against them. So and then you got obviously the Sammy Guevara who's going to be saying something. I guess I don't know if did you see online there was like a little
He's having a baby.
Yeah, no, it was funny. I think Tay Conti, she went ahead and she was doing like a squat. She posted it earlier today. She was doing like a squat.
Oh, I didn't see that today.
Okay, so she was doing like a squat in the back, and she was showing like her back end, and then all of a sudden it says when guys are looking, and then all of a sudden she turns around, and then you see the belly. Her belly's already big, so it's like, and then they realize you're taken. It kind of like what she had mentioned on there. So it was a really cool thing that she kind of did for the people who follow her. So I wonder what angle they're gonna use Sammy. I wonder what feud are they gonna do?
No, they need to do something with those guys to keep them hot.
They do, because I mean the Pillars match brought.
I'm almost upset that Darby's back in with Sting in them real quick again. I just feel like it kind of puts them down. And like even with Jungle Boy with Hook, like you had the 4 Pillars match, they delivered in that match, and now it's just like, oh, you're going back to Hook. Hey, you're back with Sting. Like I think you could have done and elevated them more. And I get it. There's only so much space, and I get all that stuff. But to me, I didn't think that match was going to be. I thought it was going to be a good match just because they're all very, very talented.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, they took a step forward to showing that they could be possibly a few months down the road ready for maybe that spot. Well, now you want them back to the Wolves.
I think where they missed it with Jungle Boy was what you were saying, that they were gonna do an angle where they were gonna turn them heel. I think that would have worked perfectly, because then now all of a sudden
I still think they're going with it. But
if they are, then they messed it up.
Did you watch him with Hook? He had the chair in his hand. Hook turned his back to go up to the ring, and he looked, but then he threw the chair down. So maybe again, I'm not saying it's the right.
Tap too late,
a little bit too long. Yeah. But again, I feel like now when they because again, I think they listen to a lot about what fans say, and I've talked to other like diehard AEW guys. They don't watch WWE. They have said the same thing, to where they said the storytelling has kind of fell off.
Yeah,
and I think maybe they're hearing that now, and now they're trying to force it. Whereas Jungle Boy could have hit Hook with the chair and just blown him, I think, up. Just said, boom, you go from here.
They should have done it right away.
Here now with one chair shot. And I think they held off on it to try to make it more to where now, because I think it's going to be Hook against Jungle Boy. I think they're going to make a feud out of them too.
Which would be
I think Jungle Boy will be the first person to beat Hook.
Oh, absolutely. But what but like what you said is that they kind of held back, and I'm like, why, man? You got, like you said, you got momentum with this guy. Yeah. Push him. Like, just don't go back to the next show.
The whole storytelling. Like now he thought about it, but again, Jungle Boy still has, it hasn't hit him yet. The whole thing with, like, to me, I think the change should have really occurred during the whole Christian Cage thing. Like from that point on, he never should have went back to Jungle Boy. When somebody called him Jungle Boy, he should have been like, it's Jack Perry. Because it should have changed him. Because at that point, he went dark against Christian Cage. You know what I'm saying? Like that, you could play it out where you don't come back from that. And then now you've slowly built it to where now, boom, now he takes out Hook, and you've built it from that whole time up. Now I feel like they're trying to force it to be more of a story.
That's what I don't like about AEW. That sometimes they try to force certain things that just makes no sense.
Because they listen to what people say,
a little bit too much.
Yeah. And then they take the wrong thing. I think they take the right step, but with the wrong story. I guess is the right thing to say.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I know we got kind kind of cut a little bit
Yeah, we'll
short
be on
today.
here in a couple, about an hour or so.
Yeah.
But we want to thank everybody that's been on. Performer of the week. Sorry, Performer of the week for you.
So my performer of the week does not come from the wrestling show. Um, it's more of I think he's a true champion, and that's Bernie, the mascot of the Miami Heat. Um, he got destroyed by Conor McGregor during the NBA playoffs during the finals, and he took two shots to the head, pretty nasty by Conor McGregor. And man, what a champion! He was taken to the hospital. I think he probably had a concussion, and but hey, he was back on it. You know, he was there. He's up and he was good to go. So my performer of the week is definitely him. He deserves kudos for taking those shots from Conor McGregor, and you know, it kind of sucks, but I kind of have to admit it. We mentioned a couple of shows back that I said maybe Conor McGregor would be a good idea to bring him to WWE. I'm starting to regret that. I'm starting to regret that.
You know how many times today you said, "Hey, you said this before." You said this before. You know you've never said that before in this show. I mean, by the way, it's 3-1 now.
It looks like we're gonna have back-to-back long nights.
And my performer of the week goes to thank you, the greatest coach, Chad Gable. I really like what they're doing with the Alpha Academy.
Yeah,
I just like the whole entertaining part where just little things where, you know, Becky Lynch leaves KO and Sammy talking to them and is walking to the ring, and it's Maxine trying to do an arm drag on Otis, and she's looking like, what the hell's going on? And Chad Gable's doing the little thing, and then they come out for the match. Man, I love that stuff. I love being entertained, man. You know what? And maybe, and I'm sorry to go here, but maybe that's why AEW sometimes doesn't hit me in the right spot.
Why you say that?
Great. Wrestling is great. There's no entertainment.
You like the funny things in wrestling as well.
I like the whole build-up. I like being, you know, entertained. I like the good wrestling. I think both shows are great wrestling-wise as far as the talent in the ring. But I think AEW doesn't do enough of the entertainment part.
You know what?
They focus more on the wrestling part than what WWE does.
I'm gonna agree with you. I think they do focus on the wrestling, and you want to know what they also kind of do? They also focus a lot on taking jabs to each other. Like, you know how they always like, oh, you know, whenever they're in the ring, they'll be like, oh, you know, this or your mother or whatever. Like, they do a really good job with those, but there's never like a little section in AEW where you're like, oh man, it's gonna be a long night. Hold on. Let me see if I could give him some good luck. Let me switch up my head.
Go. Hold on. There we go. Now the luck's changing.
Try to switch up my head. We did this at the game the other day. We were like, me and my brother were like, oh, maybe we could give him good luck. So we were changing hats. We were putting the towels on our heads. We were doing everything to try to give the Panthers a chance to win. But man, it's a little bit rough for the Panthers.
They're just, man, the Vegas Knights are just moving the puck so freaking. I don't know enough about hockey to know whether it's bad play by Panthers or great play by Vegas. But Vegas, man, they make it look so simple. The last two goals have been looking very just good puck movement. And that's your Panther talk on Squared Circle Digest.
Well, I will say this. When I went to the game, we went to game 4, the defense was terrible. And the defense struggled. And I told my brother, I was like, look, they left them. There was multiple times right down the middle that the defense just made the wrong line changes, or they would go ahead and just leave somebody wide open and shot. And even though Bob got scored on, there was plenty of times that he saved the Panthers from getting destroyed. So, yeah, enough.
They've got to move in from side to side. I mean, the puck was all the way, I believe, they were coming which way? I think to the left, and the puck movement got all the way to the right where they scored the goal. I believe that's the way it was pretty much, yeah. So,
wow.
And the Panther players are diving to try to stop. It's just so damn good, man. Just, hey, it is what it is, man.
It's a long night again, all over again.
Weren't supposed to be there, buddy. Enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
And for all the people like, oh, South Florida, 2 teams, both lose. So where's your team?
And wait, before
unless you're Vegas or you're Denver.
I also want to ask something to the chat, guys. Go ahead. Let me know, because you guys know that Big O gets on the on every Wednesday. And you know, I always send him an AEW matchup of who's gonna win. So what I'm gonna try to start doing is on Tuesdays. And remind me, Sean, I'm gonna start asking the chat which fight we should ask Big O to pick. So the fights that we have for tomorrow, we spoke about them. MJF against Adam Cole, Warlow versus Jake Hager, Tony Storm versus Sky Blue. I'll leave the other ones because these are the three single matches. So these three single
Yeah, out of
matches.
those, though, I think
Who should-
MJF against Adam Cole is the one.
So we should give
the other two. What was the other one besides Sky Blue and Tony Storm?
the other two was Swerve's group versus Darby Allin, Sting, Orange
Oh, that
Cassidy,
might
and
be a
Keith
one, but I
Lee.
think Sting goes over on that one.
But which one would be good to ask Big O?
Well, you got to think about music. So you got Swerve Strickland. So that'd be the rap group. Darby Allin's the punk grunge. You got to think how O would break it down. So you got the punk grunge group with Darby Allin against Swerve and the rap group. And,
But I think it's too many people for Big
yeah,
O.
but
to
it almost reminds me back in the day when WCW was doing. Did you remember WCW when they had Master P and those
Yeah.
guys and Kurt Hennig and Barry Windham and Kendall Windham, and they were the something rednecks, and they're like rap is crap. That was a song they sung to the ring. Kurt Hennig used to sing rap is crap to the ring. That's what I thought of as I was saying. Let's just Swerve.
We should let me know, guys, if you follow me on social media or on the
So
chat.
you got
before we
Sky
head out.
Blue against Tony Storm. That might be a good one because you'd probably figure out like, okay, so it's raining, so there's a storm. But
Oh
then
yeah,
the sky is blue.
I
I
like that
mean,
one.
come on, what do you go with?
We could question him on that one.
Because now it's a storm or is the sky blue? What is it? We have to watch him break it down.
All right, we'll go with that one. We'll go with Tony Storm and Sky Blue tomorrow. Tune in to Big O, see what his theory is for who's gonna win. He, of course, remember his wrestling knowledge is amazing. So
Oh, it's so amazing how he works it out. And usually he's right. I mean, it's so hilarious how somehow he can work it into a concert that he went to in 1975 and be right with a wrestling show from 2023.
I love the way that every time I send him the message, and then the next day he won't talk about it, or the very next day, once he sees my name, he's like, "Oh, did I pick the
Yeah,
wrestling?"
he's like that. Well, what's funny is usually what I'll do is when we go to the casino now, he asks me, and then when we get there, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you won," or "Yeah, you lost," and then
Really?
he'll wait, I think, till you come on, and then he's like, "Hey, did I win or lose?" I told him he's in a slump. He was in a slump. For the last couple
That's
days.
awesome. I love it. But yeah, man.
That
So
is, yep. Go ahead. Any parting thoughts? Frankie?
no, pretty much everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you again to Nelio. He was our special guest today. And guys, don't forget to go check out all the CCW events. Um, hold on. Let me see if I could say this correctly. How do you say is the show? Help me here. Kumate. I think I said it right.
Yep.
Kumate show happening on June 17th. Hopefully we could go check it out. We can we? Are we gonna go? Are we going?
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan for us to be there. We're gonna get there a little bit earlier. I don't know. We're gonna stick around for the whole show. We're gonna do some content stuff.
Yeah.
Before the show.
So if you guys are gonna be around the area, let me know. I am trying to plan to go to either the Monday Night Raw. I think it's going to be either in Tampa or in Orlando. I'm not sure exactly. I'm trying to see if I could go to one of those shows as well for Monday night. And obviously the house show that's going to happen here in around Coral Gables. I'm going to be going to that. Hopefully Sean could come with me as well. So if you guys do decide to go to any of these shows, please hit us up. We'll be more than happy. I always have my camera ready, my microphone ready, so we could probably interview you guys if some of you guys are not too shy. Believe me, I'm shy. Like although I'm on the show, I've been getting better with the mic here and there. I remember I gave Sean some interviews back then, and I was like, so I want to see how I've improved. If I need Sean,
I thought you improved from the first interview to the last. You did good job. You improved just there. I just kind of like the delivery, because the first one you're kind of robotic a little bit, and then by the end, the little kid, you were great, man. Maybe because the little kid didn't, stretch you out or something. I don't know.
Maybe it was that. Maybe you want to know why? It's because the kid was such an AEW fan. And remember, in the first, I know you guys didn't watch it, but the first interview, those guys were like WWE fans, so they threw me off. WWE already threw me off. So.
Oh yeah, WWE. They throw everybody off.
But shout out to everybody in the chat, and again, don't forget to follow both Sean and myself. Our tags are right there on the screen.
That's everything. Instagram,
and hit the like.
And then also you can, if you can, go to my YouTube channel also. Sports Talk with Sean Stanley. Give me a subscribe. Thanks.
Let's go Panthers. I'm taking off my hat.
Jr., official DJ Mimo, Nicholas, B. McD, Karen Joseph, no doubt. Big Nick. I think I said Karen Joseph already. DJ Mimo, Cat for Life, Josh.
Did we miss anybody?
I'm trying to make sure. Karoon. I missed Karoon was in there.
Oh, he was?
He said, is Roman out all the time because of his previous ailments? Poor guy dealt with leukemia twice, if I remember correctly. No, he's out because he earned the right to the contract he signed. So that's pretty much why he's out. I mean, he's dealing with that stuff. And then also he's got to be careful with what he does. And so that's pretty much what he's doing there, Karoon. Cat for Life. Let's see. Make sure I didn't miss anybody other things.
Chad was there.
Silverado Man 61. Chad, appreciate you. I'm so glad Cat for Life don't yell at me anymore. It used to be all caps. There it is. Gentlemen. Terry, Tua Time actually said, not only is Dom the top heel in WWE, I think he may have the most heat in world of wrestling. MJF is a heel, but people like him. People don't like Dom. That's the difference.
It's big. That's why you got to push him for a belt.
Yeah. So Terry said, Sean, looks like Finn Balor is going to leave Judgment Day. What do you think? I think Finn Balor becomes Judgment Day. I think everybody else gets out of Judgment Day. I think that's where it's heading.
Who do you think is going to win Money in the Bank?
The one thing that hasn't happened yet is you haven't seen Demon Finn Balor yet. Demon Finn could end up being Judgment Day. Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Terry, Bromar Smelly, my dad, Tua Time. That's it.
I had to go. Memo saying I look a little bit like Stone Cold Steve Frankie here. What's going on here, bro? Just because I have no hair? I told Sean. Oh my goodness, this is so embarrassing. I told Sean we should both do the show bald.
And that's the bottom line.
Look at the resemblance, guys. Oh my god, I gotta put my hat back on. No, it just said 5-1.
Oh, so you took it off and they scored. It's your fault.
It's because you took off your hat.
He said, whoa.
I know, right? That was too much. I even got freaked out. I was like, yo, let me put my hat back on. That kind of scared me. That was too much for our fans.
I look like two boobs sitting on the TV.
Oh my god, I didn't want to say it. I did not want to say it. I mean, imagine if somebody like touching the screen, be like, yeah.
Yeah, look at that. Little motorboat for you.
Jesus Christ, that was pretty
Until next Tuesday, 8 p.m. We're back here. He's Frankie Fresco. I'm Sean Stanley. So long. Well, actually, hold on. I forgot I messed up. In the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the sun, shine, state.